Hi, and welcome to episode number 71 of the Lewiston Tribune Podcast. I'm Matt Baney, and I'm here today with Kerri Sandaine.
Hi.
Hello, Kerri.
Hello, Matt.
Kerri covers Asotin County for us, of course, and last week covered a trial. This was Thomas Krogman's trial. Maybe give us a little bit of a review of the case.
Thomas Krogman was charged with first-degree attempted murder and first-degree conspiracy to commit murder. He was videoed going into the Motel 6 in Clarkston and stabbing his brother-in-law.
And last week found guilty by an Asotin County jury. He was from Wyoming. Why did he come from Wyoming to Clarkston and the Motel 6?
Well, he drove 13 hours straight here and bought a sweatshirt that said Lewiston Bengals at a secondhand store, slept in his car, and then went into the motel lobby the next day where the crime was committed. And the motive was that his wife had recently told him that her brother molested her, and the brother is the stabbing victim.
His testimony, I believe, was that he did this without her knowledge. That's what he testified on the stand.
That's what he's saying, that he turned off his phone and he told his wife, "I'm leaving, don't try to contact me."
And so the trial last week, was it 3 or 4 days?
It was 2.5 days.
2.5 days.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about the trial was that the jury went out and they were only gone 50 minutes before they reached their verdict. So they knew.
And, you know, we talked about that. I think it's just, I don't think there's probably any standard rule on this, but indeed when a jury is out for a short amount of time like that, what sort of things come to your mind when you hear, oh, they're back only 50 minutes later? What does that make you think?
Well, typically it's a guilty verdict. I'm sure it can go the other way, but that's usually what it means, and that's what Ben used to say too.
So the jury must have just considered this an open and shut case then.
Yes, and one of the most compelling parts of this case was the video. They had this footage, and you can clearly see Tom Krogman go in there. He shakes the victim's hand, puts his hand on his shoulder, takes a pocket knife out of his pocket, and the first stab was to the man's temple, which is a shocking thing for the jury to see. And I think that really impacted the case.
What was the defense argument in this case?
That there was no intent. And the attorney for Krogman was Steve Graham out of Spokane, and he did a good job. He argued that this wasn't premeditated. It wasn't some big conspiracy.
And one piece of evidence they used was that he didn't bring his gun with him.
Right. And he has a hunting rifle.
And I guess, Kerri, can you kind of explain for us? So this was first-degree attempted murder.
Correct.
What's the distinction there? What makes it a first-degree attempted murder?
Well, it's a Class A felony, and this is the top of the top in terms of attempted murders. Thomas Krogman will be sentenced, and he is facing a minimum of 34 years in prison.
The case is not, this matter isn't quite settled because his wife is also involved.
That's right.
Phyllis Krogman. Tell us what charges she's facing.
She's facing the exact same charges. She's a 65-year-old woman who lives in Wyoming, and she was arrested, kind of a dramatic scene outside the courthouse. She got cuffed and stuffed, as they say, and she was held in Asotin County on it's called a no bond hold, but the judge reduced it to $250,000, and she, I believe, posted bond, 10%, and she's home now awaiting her trial, which will take place March 11th through 13th.
Okay.
Here.
Here's kind of one interesting thing. You on a really totally other matter, you were at the old Asotin County Jail
right
on Thanksgiving.
Correct.
And you actually talked to Thomas Krogman then.
I did.
What was it like when you were interviewing him?
Well, he was a friendly fellow, and he expressed regret. He realized he'd made a big mistake and was sorry he was in this situation in jail on the holidays, facing up to life in prison. Tom Krogman was a driver's ed teacher and a track and field coach, football coach, wrestling coach. In fact, he said he just finished up the track season when he got arrested. So he'd done it 42 years. And he got a stack of letters from Wyoming former students and, you know, team members who spoke highly of him. But obviously, he made a mistake.
And it's one aspect of it that's interesting, unfortunately, you had to see the video of the attack, but
Mm-hmm.
the man he stabbed, who was the clerk at the Motel 6, he survived and was there and testified. And
Right.
what kind of condition was he in at this point, a half year or so after the attack?
He looked fine. He's, I believe, like 72. And so he has some health problems, but they showed pictures of his wounds, and he said he's mostly healed up from them. So that's good.
Mm-hmm. One thing that we noticed when this happened back on June 2nd in 2025, he was a tall and stout man, but he looks quite a bit different now.
He does.
And I believe your story said he lost a lot
He's
of weight.
30 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, he said he was like 230 or something when he got arrested, and he's down 30 pounds. But he looked skinnier than that to me. He has dropped a bunch of weight, and I mean, it's taken a toll. And his attorney even said the last 7 months have been tough on Tom. But he testified, which they don't know, defendants don't always do that. And one thing I really found interesting, and I don't know if there's any psych majors out there, but Kurt Lidke, the prosecutor, in his closing statement said, when a person tells their own story, they either cast themselves as the hero or the victim. Kurt's point was he didn't cast himself as the villain. He said, I was mad about my wife, horribly upset. When I found out about this, we held each other and just cried on the couch for an hour.
It was an interesting case in that really most of the facts of the matter weren't in dispute by either side.
Right.
There was video, the defense admitted to in court that, yes, he did stab him. That wasn't the question. It was more a question of motivation. And you mentioned, 2.5 days it took. It just seems so efficient. And is that a mark of an Asotin County case? Are they usually a little tidier than other cases in other areas?
They don't always go this fast. We have some cases that drag on for years.
Mm-hmm.
We have another, this is an attempted murder, but a murder case coming up in June. And this fellow, David Boyd, is accused of shooting his neighbor over loud music. So, and I also talked to him on Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So I was down there doing a story about the food, of course, the holiday meal, and I spoke with him. So he's next up. Phyllis is in March. And then on Monday, a fellow named Samuel Reeves will be in court for his next hearing, and he has pleaded not guilty to murder in the death of Michael Odom.
And that, of course, that's the case from 2023.
Correct.
Michael Odom was murdered at his home in southern Asotin County, right near the Grand Ronde River.
Right.
And that was one, of course, that, tell us a bit about that. That case was interesting because we didn't really know it was a murder case
Right.
initially. At first, it was a burned down home and a missing man, right?
Right. And then now it's murder and arson are the charges, and that'll be a very interesting case to cover.
And then, as you mentioned, coming up in June is the David Boyd case. That's another one, right, where the facts of what happened aren't really in dispute. He is admitting to shooting his neighbor, right?
Today I was talking to someone at the courthouse who said that he might be arguing self-defense. So I don't know. I'll have to wait and see how that plays out.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really know till you get in there for opening statements.
Yeah, I suppose everything we know about it right now is just from the police record.
Correct, the affidavit.
And indeed, once the trial starts, someone involved might change what they have to say.
Right.
But that one, David Boyd was said that his neighbor was playing Mr. Rogers music too loud, right?
Right.
And they had been kind of had a contentious relationship leading up to that.
It sounded like there was a beef, obviously.
Right.
So, yeah.
And is that a first-degree murder charge?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been a little while since I've written about David, but I'll dig back into that when we get closer to the trial date.
This is this a lot of murder and attempted murder type cases on the Asotin County beat in a short amount of time?
Yes, and if you ask the prosecutor, he would agree. He said his plate's really full. Yeah, it is. It's definitely higher than normal.
And one thing we often hear from the Asotin County prosecutor is that their limited resources.
Mm-hmm.
It must be kind of hard for them to prosecute cases of this magnitude.
And it's expensive. In this Krogman case, they flew up 2 or 3 detectives from Gillette, and you got to feed them and get them a hotel. And so, yeah, it's a costly endeavor, but, justice.
Yeah. It is, though. It's interesting in a rural county, a county that doesn't have a huge population like Asotin County. These are concerns that the county has that, even, in an Ada County isn't as big a deal, or even in, say, a Whitman or Latah or Nez Perce County, they're more able to absorb these costs.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this trial, I haven't found out what it costs, but I imagine it was expensive. And then with Phyllis Krogman, it'll be the same deal. They'll have to bring up people from Wyoming, I imagine.
Do you, would you, I don't know, of course we'd be speculating here, but would there be any chance for a plea deal in Phyllis Krogman's case?
Perhaps. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they might extend one to her. I don't. Her attorney is out of Spokane. Her name's Karen Lindholt, I believe, and she was at the Thomas Krogman trial. So she does have relatively local representation, and I'm sure she seemed to be right on top of it.
Well, Kerri, thank you very much for your insight, and thank you for joining us for this episode of the Lewiston Tribune Podcast. We'll be back again next week with another new topic, so we'll see you then. Thank you.